But do you want to do away with these sort of companies, these multinationals? Do you want them policed better? If so, who should be doing the policing? Is it governments? Is it individual? I mean, what do you ideally want?
Well, the people's only real control or our only power is through government, unfortunately. Actually buying products that we like and not buying products that we don't like really achieves extremely little. And shareholder power is minimal too, because ultimately the vast bulk of shareholders just want to make more money for their retirement. So really, if we're to have any political power in the system, it's unfortunately only through democracy. And so, our goal would be to subsidize and incentivize those behaviors that we like and to regulate the ones that we don't like. And somehow over the last 30, 40 years with Thatcher in the UK and Reagan in the US and all from Milton Friedman in some way, we've gotten this ideology that you just let companies do whatever they want, don't bother them, don't incentivize them or regulate them or anything, things will be great. And it's completely preposterous.
But isn't that part of the American dream? Isn't that the ideology behind it all? You can do what you want, personal freedom.
It's one American dream.
You don't believe in it?
Well, I also think that it's, the right in the U.S. has fairly successfully co-opted that idea of the American dream, but you can go back to plenty of other periods where the American dream was that there was more equity, that there was more equality, that there was a better standard of living for everyone, that there was a certain amount of protection for the things that made a good social environment. And we'd like to see a return to those values that benefit everybody instead of a few people at the top.
How much of it is about corporate greed, and how much in what you do is it about the thirst of the media companies, the rolling news networks, the demand for story, whatever it be? You seem to be almost sort of trying to expose that as you go along. It's this eternal quest for something.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is, isn't it? Incidentally, maybe we do expose that as well, but that's not really our main target. We see what we do primarily as a form of collaboration with journalists who want to squeeze something out despite this absurd corporate control of the media. And so we provide these funny stories that get these important bits of information into the media, and they highlight these activist struggles in a way they might not otherwise be.
How much is it about yourselves, though? So, throughout the film, it's very entertaining. You see a series of different hats are worn, colours, and ridiculous backdrops to speakers. We've got film of you in boats, in swamps, underwater, all sorts of things. It feels like a bit of a cult of the yes man as well. It's more than just exposing. There's entertainment there.
Well, yeah. You have to have characters for a movie, or at least that's the idea that we started with.
But does that get in the way of what you're trying to expose?
We hope not.
I would think for some people it does. Some people think that if a documentary is funny and if a documentary has characters in it, then it can't possibly be saying serious things, and they get annoyed. But, we're not purists when it comes to the documentary form or format. And if people want to go see a date movie, a really funny movie that is basically also a documentary and has information in it, then they can come see our movie if they don't want to leave crying, Although the guy today did say he was crying, he was in tears when he left the theater.
Oh, sorry.
Tears of joy, he told me.
We bitterly disappointed.
He signed up for the email list.
Cruel false hopes.
But is there pressure? There's been such a rise in prank spoof documentaries, political documentaries, trying to expose. Do you find yourselves under pressure? How can we make it entertaining? How can we do something different?
Absolutely. Our goal is really to get this film in front of a mass audience. It's not to communicate a maximum of information for people who already know a lot. It's to actually bring these things to a very large audience. So we have to make it entertaining, like a mainstream movie. Also, it's very fun to do it this way.
But is it about the film or the subject matter?
It's about the subject matter.
But done in the most entertaining way possible.
Right, because we want to bring it to a large audience, so we have to. But we also, there is a lot of information in the film as well. We just communicate it with a wry grin often.
At the end of the film, you bring out this spoof copy of the New York 30,000 copies around New York with good news. The war in Iraq is over. The oil companies are going to fund research and measures to combat climate change. Does that fix the world, though? I mean, do you fix the world, as the title implies?
Well, I think that, we have a lot of negativity to overcome. There's a lot of people who say, we're in this system that we can't possibly change, it's too big, too powerful. And that's not true. I mean, we made this system. People made it. People can change it. People can change it overnight. And if we're faced with a crisis, and the climate crisis is the biggest crisis that we've ever faced, according to scientists, if you believe them, those crazy people. And so we should be able to change the system so that it promotes sustainability instead of just using everything up. We've done it before. World War II, assembly lines were changed over in a period of months, from making things like consumer products to making war machines. We should have an effort that's bigger than what was mounted during the Second World War.
But that's not happening, is it? If you look at the way countries are responding to this current recession, they're talking about growth, an increase in consumer goods, pumping more money into the system. It's not really changing, is it?
That's why we need to redouble our efforts. And there are a lot of activists who are really pushing a global movement that's gaining momentum. And we have every reason to believe that it is going to be successful.
I saw the enthusiasm in your eyes there when you said redouble our efforts. What are you planning? What's the next Yes Men escapade?
Well, there are some secrets, and then there's some things that are not so secret. We're building hundreds of survivaballs, which we will be using to blockade, businesses and government offices all around the world in the
permit
coming months.
hundreds of people to survive the ravages of climate change.
That's just one of many things. We've got a new game called challenge.theyesmen.org, and it is basically it's called the Yes Men Challenge. That's where it's located, and it's a way for people to communicate and participate in projects similar to what we've done. We've also got a climate pledge of resistance, beyondtalk.net, that we're participating in, where people can go and volunteer themselves for direct action.
But does this film now make it more difficult for you to operate? You're now superstars. Everybody's going to know your face. Every news organisation or corporate company has probably got a picture of you nailed up on the back wall or on a dartboard, or I mean, is it going to make it more difficult to pull these sort of stunts off?
Not so far. We don't think so. I mean, already in the film, people in these conferences recognized us often and just let them happen because they wanted to see it. And people within these contexts don't necessarily believe that this is the right way to run the world. They're just trying to make a buck as well. But, if we are blocked from conferences, it's also not the end of the world. It's not rocket science what we do. We've launched this challenge at challenge.theyesmen.org, where we give away all our secrets and encourage people to try it themselves. It's not very hard to do.
Do you ever think, I've gone one step too far? I've never seen you look so frightened in your life when you suddenly realised that the mayor of New Orleans was coming to address the conference that you thought you were addressing. And panic sets in.
And that he had come because of who we said we were. Yeah, that was a moment when we thought, maybe we went too far. But
did you get on all right once you realised what you'd done? Or are you still not speaking?
To him, we tried to speak to him once after that. He wouldn't talk to us, but we still have hope. We can have a coffee and change his mind about the way to run New Orleans.
Mike, Andy, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
And our film is playing on Tuesday night.
Oh yeah.
Nationwide.
Cinemas across the UK. It's a live link-up.
Yeah, and if you want to find
That's what I gather.
yeah,
Dressed as yourselves, or in a survivor ball? Or?
There will be survivables available. If anybody wants to come to Sheffield, that's where we'll be, and we can put you in one. You can test one out.
Right, they've heard it here. There'll probably be a queue forming as we speak. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.